All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Boise City Planning and Zoning Commission public hearing. A few things to start out with for tonight's proceedings. Everyone from the public entering the hearing virtually has been automatically muted and cannot speak. As the item you're interested in comes up for discussion, you'll be called upon and unmuted. There is a chat function in Zoom, however, this is not part of the record and should only be used if technical difficulties arise. Our procedures for public hearings begins with a presentation from the planning team. Then we'll go to the applicant and then the representative of the Registered Neighborhood Association, followed by questions from the commission. After that, we proceed to public testimony, starting with those who are in person, then who signed up on the sign-up sheet in advance, and then anyone else who raises their hand virtually. If you're attending through your telephone, you can type in *9 to raise your hand. Each member of the public is allowed up to 3 minutes for testimony. We are strict with this time as it is limited in code. Finally, the applicant is allowed 5 minutes for rebuttal, after which the hearing will be closed and the commission will deliberate and render a decision. Mr. Chair, you have the floor.
Thank you, Crystal. Good evening, everyone. We are citizen volunteers appointed by the mayor and approved by the city council. We make final decisions on conditional use permits, variances, and appeals and recommendations to the city council on subdivisions, rezones, annexations, and code or comprehensive plan amendments. Any decision made tonight may be appealed to the city council, provided that the appeal is filed within 10 days of this hearing. In order to file an appeal, you must have given written or oral testimony at tonight's meeting, which is why it's important for you to give your name and address when you testify tonight. We utilize a consent agenda. This means that if the applicant agrees to the staff report and if there is no public opposition, the item will be placed on the consent agenda. All items that are placed on the consent agenda are approved with one motion without further public comment. For items not on the consent agenda, we will hold a full public hearing in the order just detailed a few minutes ago with staff, applicant, neighborhood association, and the public testimony. Thank you all for attending tonight. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Danley.
Here.
Moore. Here. Schaefer.
Here.
Seha.
Here.
Torres.
Here.
Doan.
Here.
Stallings.
Here.
Stefancic.
Here.
All present.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go ahead and move forward to the consent agenda. The one and only item I think that might be up for the consent agenda, and maybe not. Let's see. Item number 1, CUP 26-02. This is Shopworks Architecture. This is a conditional use permit application located at 860 West Sherwood Street. Is the applicant in attendance? Okay. Are you Marshall Gray by chance? You are Marshall Gray. And do you wish to testify in opposition to this item? Okay. Questions that you want staff or the applicant to answer, I'm assuming, or hoping. Okay. Well, so then if that's the case, then we're going to have that hearing, and then we will have no items that are up for the consent agenda. Let me just make sure if your questions are questions that if they're answered a certain way, would that mean opposition from you? Potentially. Okay, fair enough. That's all you got to say. In that case, let's move forward. We'll go to the staff or the applicant or staff and applicant. It looks like Mr. Moser, I think. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit for an allowed use of alternative zone with alternative zone specific standards associated with the mixed use project comprised of multifamily development, a childcare facility, and retail uses. The subject property is located between Island Avenue, Lusk Street, and Sherwood Avenue, and Capitol Boulevard is located about 200 feet to the east. It is located within the Lusk Street area master plan, which is comprised of a mix of commercial and residential uses and situated within the downtown regional activity center and the University Drive and Capitol Boulevard neighborhood activity center. The subject property is approximately 1.32 acres in size. A new 4-story mixed-use building will be constructed on the west side of the property along Lusk Street between Island and Sherwood Avenue. And this slide shows the site plan and the landscape plan and the phasing. The project is a mixed-use development that will contain multifamily development with a large childcare and retail uses. The multifamily portion includes 90 dwelling units, which at total build-out, which are intended for permanent supportive housing. The applicant is requesting an allowed use with alternative zone specific standards. These specifically includes the deviation from the MX5 zone specific building design requirements to incorporate a minimum of 80% of its ground floor street frontage for uses that are active by occupants in the general public. This requirement cannot be met because the proposed ground floor parking areas and vehicle access points. The subject property has 3 street frontages and does not border an alley because it was vacated previously and cannot meet the 80% threshold while still providing the essential services such as parking and solid waste site service. In addition, the site borders the Lusk Street to the west, which is an important storefront commercial corridor within the Lusk Street master plan. As such, vehicle and parking areas along Lusk Street are greatly discouraged by the master plan, and as a result, Island Avenue and Sherwood Avenue frontages are the only viable points for ingress and egress for guest resident services, as it will not interfere with the anticipated storefront commercial character of Lusk Street. Therefore, the Sherwood Avenue street facing elevation of the building will accommodate the structured parking and vehicle entrances, which results in the building not providing the required ground floor active uses. This slide shows the building elevations along Lusk Street and Island Street, and you can note there are windows and active uses and doors visible from these street frontages. However, along Sherwood, since it is adjacent to the structured parking, does not provide this, and as such project does not meet the 80% active use standard. The planning team did receive a letter of support in regard to proposed permanent supporting housing from Catch, and we also received another one that came in too late on Friday to support onto the commission from Terry Riley Health Services. In summary, the planning team recommends approval. Thank you.
Okay, we'll next hear from the applicant.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to present on the Sherwood. And thank you, Mr. Moser, for the summation of our project. We are in agreement with the staff recommendations. My name is John Vance. I'm with Northwest Real Estate Capital Corp. We are the developer of the Sherwood. Can we go to the next? Which one?
Sir, point it at the large screen, I think. Oh, is it the arrow button?
This one right here?
Mr. Mosier will scroll through. Just tell him when.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you. So Northwest is a 501c3 developer, owner, and manager of affordable housing in 8 Western states. We're based here in Boise, Idaho. Oh, sorry, my address, right? 210 West Mallard Street, 83706 is our office. We're a 501c3 developer, owner, and manager of affordable housing. We work in 8 Western states. The Sherwood will be our 42nd affordable housing project developed since 2015. And it will be our second permanent supportive housing project. The other one being Valor Point out on State Street. Shopworks Architecture is the architect. Shopworks is a nationally recognized leader in trauma-informed design. They promote healing and dignity through their and safety through a user design framework for all their spaces. Shopworks, go back one, sorry, that's okay. Shopworks has published several articles and research papers on the benefits of trauma-informed design on tenant outcomes and property performance. Next slide, please. As was mentioned, this is a 90-unit mixed-use development in the Lusk Street district. This will be built in 2 phases. The ground floor of phase 1 will feature resident amenities and entryway. It'll also feature office space for our supportive service providers, Catch and Terry Riley, as well as a daycare center. Phase 1 will also include some outdoor play space for the children, as well as surface parking for tenants. Our anticipated construction is 2026 for phase 1. Phase 2 ground floor will feature retail space along Lusk Street, as well as podium parking along Sherwood Street. It will have 42 units of affordable housing for families exiting homelessness. Next slide, please. Oh, and anticipated construction is 2028. So this just gives us a reference of where we are in Lusk Street. As you'll note, as was said earlier too, our site is bound by Island, Lusk, and Sherwood. However, there is no alley. And so the only access points are currently on Lusk, Island, and Sherwood to allow parking and solid waste services on our site. Next slide, please. So how did we get here? The design challenges for this site are primarily that we're in a floodplain, which is why we're doing a new construction instead of using the existing buildings that are there. We do not have an alley for access, as was noted earlier. And then the Lusk Street design criteria, which prohibits us from having vehicle access onto Lusk Street, and also requires active uses to try and create a Main Street feel. At the neighborhood meeting, we had a couple of requests, which was to improve the Lusk Street presentation, as well as include retail options for Lusk Street. Our first iteration, which was changed before it was presented to planning and zoning and to design review, had basically only elevated areas where the doorways are. Because we're in the floodplain, our building is raised between 2 and 4 feet, depending on where you are on the site. Our initial design had the building going straight down to street level, which left about 2 to 3 feet of just plain concrete as the presentation, which was not loved by the neighborhood. So we made some changes. Next slide. To accommodate that, we changed and added kind of a front porch for our Lusk Street to match what we had on Island Street. This is elevated to get outside the floodplain, and also added some railings along both of those to give it more of a front porch look for our development. We also added a more defined entryway for the residents to enter. It's a larger awning now, and it has additional signage, which kind of directs everyone to that being the front door for our project. We also added 3 retail spaces along Lusk Street. Our first iteration had podium parking from the front to the back of phase 2. They asked us to increase or to add retail and decrease the parking, which we did. And so all of that was done in response to the neighborhood meeting that we had earlier this year. Next slide, please. And so this is the Sherwood elevation. This is the one where we have the podium parking up above the 42 units of residential space. Again, this primary corner is the retail space that faces out onto Lusk Street. But because we don't have an access or an alley access, basically our parking lot, which goes from Island to Sherwood, becomes the alley. That's how all the residents and solid waste will access our site. And then the podium parking will add about another 27 parking spaces to our overall count. By having all of that, we have about 54 parking spaces in total when the building is completed. One of the things that we also got recommended from the neighborhood was to have our screening have some sort of frame process. The Trademark Creative is located in Lusk Street, and they were at our neighborhood meetings. And what they asked for was to have somehow get all this screening to change every once in a while with different art. So they wanted to propose a different framing system that allowed us to quickly interchange the screens that are presented. So it's not necessarily active, but we kind of get that activation feel by having different artwork presented. The other thing that happened is currently the parking lot is along Island. We moved that over to Sherwood Street. That matches the existing podium parking on the Osprey on the south end of Sherwood. And we provided our active space along Island, which will match the J. Fisher development, which will happen on the other side of Island. So we put the active uses together and the less active uses together to kind of create more of a Main Street feel for Island as well. And with that, I'll take any questions. Again, thank you for the opportunity to present tonight.
Okay, thank you much. Just give us a quick second. Need to make sure Neighborhood Association. So this would be the Lusk District Neighborhood Association. Is there anybody in chambers or online who is from and is a spokesperson for the Lusk Street neighborhood? I have Kylie Bolin listed, but no. Okay. Okay, with that, then we'll go ahead and open it up to any questions from the commission.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Moore.
So this application, if I understand correctly, is just about the amount of activated street frontage. It's not about like the use or the density, anything like that. It's just the activated street frontage amount.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, that is correct. It's a waiver from that zone specific requirement of the MX5 for the active use that
Okay.
requires 80%.
And then, Mr. Chair.
Quit.
I think that the main facade that we're really looking at is that, that facade with the artwork screening, right? The rest of them are kind of generally meeting that 80%, but that artwork screening kind of tips it over the edge of the, into 60% range, right?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, that is correct.
Okay. And then, Mr. Chair, one more. So the way that it sounds like the applicant has worked with the neighborhood and the city to mitigate that is to add kind of some screening in the style of artwork that can be interchanged from time to time.
Mr. Chair, and members of the commission, that is correct. And they have also, I think, since the original added that additional retail space there at the corner
Awesome.
that fronts onto Lusk.
Thank you. That's all I got.
Okay, any other questions? Once. What's that? Okay, in that case, we'll go ahead and open this up to public testimony. So Mr. Gray, if you would mind, come on up, say your name and address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Yeah, my name is Marshall Gray. I'm currently reside in the north end, 4284 North Blue Wing Place, Boise. I work at Jim's Appliance, which is right across the street. I have a couple of concerns. Number one, this facility is put together mainly for low-income housing, I would assume. Not necessarily for college kids. I'm not sure. I'm concerned about parking. If they have 90 units, 72 parking spots, that would anticipate that most of these low incomes don't have cars. When I would assume in a 2 or 3 bedroom unit, they're going to have 1 to 2 at least. There's pretty poor parking down there right now. And I'm a little concerned about that in its entirety. The other is culture mix, I would have to say, without being rude or ungrateful or anything. Low income and college students in their drive to make their life better and move different directions in life, make money. And I'm concerned about that mix. I'm also concerned about parking and the overall Lusk development, as the city's anticipated that to be somewhat of a future Bodo or 8th Street or something like that. There was rumor of discontinuing Lusk and having it a walk only. And so I just didn't know how that was going to work in the whole overall plan and what that does to our community down there. It's a wonderful spot. There is some really great restaurants and stuff back on La Pointe. They barely have enough parking for what they're doing. So I'm really concerned about that and what's going to happen and the arguments and fights that we've already seen over parking. And will that increase that problem? Those are my concerns. Those are my questions. I haven't heard anything yet that sounds like any of that has been answered.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Pretty
The
much.
applicant will have an opportunity for rebuttal just in a moment and may be able to address some of those as well. Okay, is there anybody else either in chambers or online who did not sign up tonight, but who wishes to testify on this item? Okay, nobody in chambers, and it looks like nobody online. So with that, we'll go ahead and close the public testimony portion and bring the applicant back up. You'll have 5 minutes for any rebuttal, and then the decision will be before the commission.
Thank you, Chair, members of the commission. This is low-income housing. As far as college students, they're not allowed without particular allowances. So for the most part, it is going to be families that are living there. There are some allowances, like I said, that are provided in the low-income housing tax credit, but they're very few, so it won't be student housing by any means. As far as the car requirements, the MX5 zoning does not require any parking at all. So the fact that we're providing the parking that we are is above and beyond what is required in that zoning. I understand the concern as far as the parking is there because there's a lot of great restaurants, as was mentioned. Madre Tacos is delicious, but the onus isn't just on us. There's a lot of other projects going on that have the similar requirements. Based on the demographic that we will most likely serve, we are probably going to be serving quite a few families that only have one adult member. So the likelihood of having 2 cars is going to be rare in those instances. So I think those are the main concerns as far as what's being planned on the Lusk Street development itself. The actual Lusk Street, that's more in line with ACHD and CCDC. And so it's kind of out of our purview. We do adhere to the design criteria and the right of way that does abut our project, but it's mostly just street trees and sidewalk areas. I think that addresses all the concerns.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And with that, the item is before the commission.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Moore.
I move that we approve CUP 26-2 for the reasons stated in the staff report.
Okay, I've got a motion by Commissioner Moore. Is there a second?
Second.
I've got a second by Commissioner Stallings. Is there discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Moore?
Certainly appreciate the concerns. Fortunately, the particular scope that's in front of us today is just that activated street frontage piece. So the use, the parking counts, things like that aren't in front of us. It's really just, the deviation from 80% activated use along the street front to, I think it's like 66 or something like that % activated use, and how they're kind of mitigating that with those screens, and with the artwork and the additional kind of 400 square foot retail uses. And so for those reasons and the reasons stated in the staff report, I'm in support of the project, but certainly appreciate the concerns and time coming out.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Moore. Is there any more discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Stallings.
just want to second everything Commissioner Moore said, and then just complement the pairing of uses, of active uses and non-active uses with the adjacent developments. I think that was really thoughtful in that Main Street feel ideology that we're angling towards. I thought that was a fantastic solution. And then, yeah, to second, the artwork feels thoughtful and incorporating of the culture of that neighborhood. Yeah, nothing else to add.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Stallings. Any other discussions?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Stayhawk.
I will be supporting the motion. I agree with Commissioner Moore and Commissioner Stallings, and I want to thank the developer for working with the city on bringing some affordable housing to our city.
I was waiting for Commissioner Torres.
Mr. Chair, I'll jump in as well. I echo my fellow commissioners and what they've already stated. I also just want to thank the developer for bringing in more affordable housing. There's a really great need in the city of Boise for housing at particularly the 30%, but 30% to 60% AMI range. So every little bit moves the needle, and so I appreciate the project for addressing that. Thank you.
Okay, unless there's any other discussion, go ahead and clerk, please call the roll. I've got a motion by Commissioner Moore and a second by Commissioner Stallings to approve the conditional use permit. And with that, clerk, please call the roll.
Danley,
Aye.
Moore,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Seha,
Yes.
Torres,
Yes.
Stone,
Yes.
Stallings,
Yes.
Stefancic,
Yes.
all in favor, motion carries.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. That moves us to item number 2. This is 3 different applications. I've got CVA 25-76, CAR 25-28, and SUB 25-100, all located at 9501 West Burnett Drive, a variance, annexation, and preliminary and final plat request. And this is also Mr. Moser.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. The applicant requests an annexation of approximately 1.65 acre parcel with an R1B AIO zone, which is residential suburban within the airport influence overlay zone. A variance is also included not to install the required 10-foot wide detached sidewalk along Victory, and a 3-lot preliminary and final plat subdivision is included with this application. The subject property is located at the southwest corner of the intersection of Victory and Burnett Drive. The surrounding area is comprised of residential neighborhoods with lots ranging in size from about 0.2 to 2 acres. The adjacent properties to the north, south, and west are located within the city of Boise, and the adjacent residential properties to the east and southeast are located within Ada County. The surrounding area of the subject property being annexed is the overall area of the subject property being annexed is approximately 2 acres, which includes the adjacent right-of-way. The subject property is currently zoned R1 in Ada County, and the R1B zone is requested with the annexation. The R1B zone is consistent with the large lot rural land use designation of the comprehensive plan. In addition, the adjacent neighborhood to the north across Victory is zoned R1C and R1B. As such, the R1B zone is compatible with the comprehensive plan and the development patterns of the surrounding neighborhood. The R1B zone will also facilitate the development of additional housing and a mix of housing types within the neighborhood, and there is a need for creation of additional housing within the city at large, as detailed within the Housing Needs Analysis Report from 2021. The applicant proposes to annex the subject property and construct a cottage village development on the west side of the property, a fourplex on the south. In addition, the applicant will request to maintain the existing single-family house at the corner of Victory Road and Burnett Drive. Vehicle access to the proposed cottage village and fourplex will be from a service drive with a connection to Burnett Drive with a connection to that road. The existing single-family house will also maintain a driveway, that same driveway. A recommended conditional approval will prohibit direct access to Victory Road, which will be noted on the plat. The proposed cottage village and fourplex are conceptual in nature and are not before the commission tonight. These will require a separate land use approval. The proposed 3-lot subdivision complies with the standards and requirements in terms of lot size and street frontages of the proposed R1B zone. The applicant is requesting a variance to maintain the existing attached sidewalk along Victory and not install the required detached. The planning team recommends denial of the variance because we can find no hardship associated with the site. The subject property is a flat rectangular parcel with no unusual characteristics, and there are several policies within the comprehensive plan that encourage the construction and installation of detached sidewalks along major corridors. Also, Victory Road is not scheduled to be improved on the current ACHD 5-year capital improvement plan. However, it is scheduled on their plan between 2031 and 2035. The planning team did receive letters of opposition from the public expressing concerns with increased traffic and that the proposed R1B zone is not compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. To address these concerns, I would note that the R1B zone is consistent with the comprehensive plan land use designation, and there are similar R1B and R1C zoned neighborhoods adjacent to the north across Victory and to the west along Victory at the intersection of Mitchell Street and Victory Road. Also, the applicant will improve Burnett Drive as a half-street section abutting the site, and ACHD, as noted, will improve Victory Road to 5 lanes adjacent to the site between 2031 and 2035 to help address the traffic issues along that road. In summary, the planning team recommends approval of the annexation and subdivision and recommends denial of the variance. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moser. Is the applicant in attendance? Come on up. If you wouldn't mind to state your name and address for the record. Is 10 minutes okay? Okay.
It's more than enough.
All right. Just making
Robin-
sure.
Robin Gates, 2115 Heights Drive in Boise. Can you put up the plat, please? No, just a plat of the property, the subdivision plat. Sorry, I gave this to him at the last second. This is
Is
not
that in your
mine.
thumb drive, or you want him to pull up his?
Yeah,
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so as you see, we're proposing the 3-lot split. Our goal is on all of our developments is to do cottage development. So now that you've gotten it where I asked you to put it, could you put it to the 2 landscape plans, please? I'm sorry. I brought examples of 2 different cottage developments that we're doing collectively, our team. And this is my goal, is to do these. It's just another option for more affordable housing. And this is why we purchased this lot, was to be able to do this project. Okay, I'll start with the neighborhood meeting because I think that's important to start with that. This was the property outlines, the 3 different lots is exactly what I proposed at the neighborhood meeting. I did have on lot 1 a single family residence. Lot 2, I had a cottage development, and lot 3, I had an existing house. And that was my intent at that time. At that time, we did not have partners to do this project with. And after that, we got partners. And so some stuff has changed, but everything that I told the neighbors is true. I said, if we are approved for R1B, anything that's allowed in R1B can be on there, but this is our intent. So I'm going to start with that. The concerns for the neighbors, for the most part, was just human nature. I don't want development. I don't want things denser than where I am. A lot of people don't think this is appropriate for the neighborhood. There's not much I can do about that because I disagree with that viewpoint. I think we do need affordable housing, and this is how you get it. They had a lot of concerns about Burnett. They said people are sliding in and out, and the lady across the street to the east has had problems with people knocking out her sprinklers and stuff, which would upset me too if I were her. But I can't do anything about the road. So what I can do is they were concerned, the people to the south were concerned about view into their backyard. So at the neighborhood meeting, I told everyone that I would contact the adjacent neighbors only, because there were a lot of people there. Once we had a further plan like this, and go over it and get their feedback. So I hand wrote a note to these people and mailed it to them. I had one person write me back, which is a lady to the south. And we had a great conversation yesterday. I told her what I was doing in the design to basically address all her concerns. And I didn't hear back from anybody else.
Okay, let's hold that. Okay. If you want to testify, you're welcome to say that then. Go ahead.
Thank you. And they had an issue with rodents. They're concerned about rodents. So our design team that we have now has been talking to, I think it's the irrigation lady. They've been talking to somebody about trying to help with the rodents when they start moving the dirt. Okay. I'm just going to move on, if that's all right. So lot one, right now we have, we're calling them townhomes, or we're calling them a fourplex because it's currently one lot. But once it's done, we're going to condo them and sell them individually. So they're really townhomes. But until we get to that point, they can't be called townhomes because it's all on one lot. But with the new red lines that you guys are hopefully signing in soon, one of the things that was in the old zoning was you can't have two cottage developments right next to each other or within 400 feet. And that's going away to the best of my knowledge. So once that gets signed over and we actually start the design process, lot one could become cottages as well. But again, this hearing's not even about the development. I just want to be very clear on the intent. Let's see. So I read through all the letters from all the different departments on what they wanted, their kind of conditions of approval. And we're in agreement with everything. I mean, there's really nothing much there. Sorry, I'm not the best public speaker, but the only item that we'd like to really discuss is the variance item. And Tanner, I think, would like to discuss it. He's Tanner with Haven, Idaho. These are the builders that we've been partnering up with on these projects. It's a small company that does quality infill projects, and he's been great to work with, but I'll let him talk.
Tanner Verhooks, 26230 Moonglow Drive in Middleton. Mr. Chair, members of the commission, thank you for having me tonight. Yeah, like Robin mentioned, we'd like to discuss the variance for the detached sidewalk. In talking earlier today with the design team in the group, we all agreed and wanted to make it clear that we're not trying to get out of doing anything. We're not trying to avoid costs or anything. We want to be really intentional with the sidewalk that goes there. And we'd hate for that to get ripped out in 5-6 years when Victory is widened. And so at the front of the site, we're planning for a landscape buffer, pretty deep one. I think there's a 30-foot landscape buffer there. And we want that to be a nice experience for pedestrians to walk through. We'd like to incorporate the sidewalk into the buffer, maybe have trees and benches and things of that nature. We're planning for our stormwater retention to be up there. And one of the other landscape plans that was shown earlier, Pat's Cottages, all of our stormwater detention basins, we're actually doing, we actually submitted a variance with the drainage department to do vertical sidewalled retention basins with boulders and stuff. And they actually really liked it and I'm probably going to approve the variance. And so it's going to look really nice, right? You have boulders, you got trees. We're going to, make it very park-like is the goal. And so we just wanted to be intentional with the sidewalk that gets put in there. And we're not trying to avoid doing anything. We just don't want to do anything prematurely. And so wanted to work with you guys and try to figure out how to plan for that detached sidewalk appropriately for it to not get ripped out and overwritten when the road widening comes through. And I'll stand for any other questions if there are any.
Anybody else on your team you've got a couple minutes if you want it.
For the new, in the new red line thing, we saw that once that is accepted, right now, the 10-foot sidewalk is in the code.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Thanks, Greg.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
In the new zoning, if you guys approve it, it says if a road is getting widened in the next 5 years, scheduled to be widened, then you can get out of it. And as David, who's been great to work with on this, pointed out, he said it won't be completed within 5 years. But the verbiage is gray area as far as I'm concerned. So I just wanted to throw that in. It is something that you guys are trying to add to your zoning. So, I mean, maybe this is just something that says, get the verbiage a little bit more clear. I don't know if you already said that. I was chit chat with it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Probably have some questions for you momentarily. We'll turn our attention to the Neighborhood Association. It is the Southwest Ada County Neighborhood Association here? I'm having some computer issues, so I can't access my Zoom, Crystal. Okay. All right, well, with that, then we'll go ahead and open it up to questions of the commission for either staff or the applicant. So if applicants, if you wouldn't mind coming back up, I'm sure there'll be some questions for you. I think
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Moore.
I'll start again. So I think I've got a couple of questions, but I'll start with a question for Mr. Moser. So the location, the sidewalk location, typically that's, ultimate build out. ACHD's got a plan for what their full build out of the road is going to be, and you'd put your sidewalk kind of where that's anticipated. Is that what the current conditions are requiring is at full build out after this widening happens, or would it change?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, with the subdivision, they would have to install it or bond for the sidewalk in order to get the plat recorded. So ideally, if they're going to install it, they would need to work with the highway district and figure out where that sidewalk's going to go. I don't know where they are. I'm assuming they're starting their planning process. If they're looking at 2031 or that somewhere in that phase, I don't know where they are in the planning process, what this road's going to look like, other than it's going to be 5 lanes. So maybe they could figure out what the right of way width is least and then measure it off from there. But ideally just work with ACHD and they would need to figure and then install it correctly.
Okay. And Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Moore.
So that all makes sense. So for the applicant, there was one part, and I think you kind of alluded to it, but there was one part in the reason statement that was a little bit confusing. And it says, another reason for the variance request is that during the cottage design process, we'll be proposing to use that 30-foot landscape buffer as a desirable outdoor space, and that affects the design of the 10-foot sidewalk. Could you detail that a little bit? I was a little bit confused about how those are intermingling because the 30-foot space isn't going to change.
Okay, I can see where that's confusing. So all the other subdivisions along Victory just put up a big old fence and then they've got their homes. We want to landscape that area and we're going to have access to the cottages from that sidewalk. So we were talking about having like actual edible gardens or pollination plants, but make it more of an experience as you come through there, with more of a design than just a straight 10-foot sidewalk. Maybe something that kind of curves out, put a little bit more money into it, make it an experience. But right now we just have boxes on a site plan. So until we know if we're going to get approved, we're not going to start design on that. But at some point we will, and we would like to make it an experience.
Yeah, and Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Moore.
Follow up for Mr. Moser. It seems like the last several applications, the city has kind of preferred more straightened sidewalks as opposed to meandering. Is that still kind of the case? The city would be more supportive of a straighter sidewalk instead of a meandering deal.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, that is correct. We do not like meandering. They're difficult for folks with visibility impairments to navigate or other assessments. But we'd like straight sidewalks, and that is I think there are specific policies within the comprehensive plan that encourage non-meandering.
Right. So, and a little bit more. Mr.
One
Chair.
more. You get one.
One more? Okay. I had 2.
Okay, 2.
Okay. So to follow up on that, I think the mention of the code that's going in front of City Council tomorrow, we can't make any decisions based on code amendments that have not gone in front of City Council, right? They would need to come back later after that was approved or modified or whatever happens tomorrow.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, that is correct. This application needs to be reviewed against the code that is currently in place and as it was submitted under.
Okay, perfect. And then one more, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Okay. So the last one is unrelated to the sidewalk. So for the density piece, it's 2 acres. R1B is 4.8 units per acre, which is what, 8, 9, almost 10 units, but they're proposing 12-ish. So they're using some affordability covenants to achieve a higher density.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, that would be correct. When they come in for the fourplex or the cottage village, they're going to have to use the affordability incentive to exceed that density.
Great. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Torres.
as a follow-up on Commissioner Moore's questions about the new code that's being heard again tomorrow night, code amendments, I'm sorry. We obviously, as Commissioner Moore said, asked and you answered, we cannot consider based on what might be approved tomorrow night or might not be approved tomorrow night. How does it work if we make a decision tonight and it's appealed and the appeal takes place after a potential approval of the code amendments? They would still be bound by the code as it is right now. Is that correct?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, that is correct. They are be reviewed under the code that this was submitted and accepted under.
Okay, other questions?
Sure.
Commissioner Stefanczyk.
Real quick, and I don't know, this is for the city, Mr. Moser. The neighborhood to the east of this property, it's zoned R1A. When was that? When did that come into zoning? I know this might be a tough, hard question, but.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, the one to the west or to the east? The one in the city?
Oh, the west, sorry.
The west.
Yeah.
I believe that was annexed into the city about 2014 or 2017. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Question for staff, David. So regardless of the proposed development on these parcels, we have 3 parcels, all meeting R1B code requirements for square footages and setbacks, correct?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, that is correct.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then I'm sorry, I'm just to double back on the sidewalk topic. I'm a little gray. So the Victory widening is on it's not on ACHD's 5-year work plan. It's on the 10-year work plan.
CIP.
It's on the CIP.
20-year capital improvement plan.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, I'd be on the 10-year, the 2031 to between 2031 and 2035. It's not the current one that's in place. It'd be, so I don't know how they do that, but their CIP plan.
Okay. Okay. Very good. All right. And then to the applicant, which I'm just curious on your timing. And I guess before I go back to you guys real quick, process wise with this application before us, next step, assuming approval at city council, design review, or do they go straight into building permit?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, the next step after annexation is complete at council and the ordinance has been read, then would be for them to finalize the subdivision.
Mm-hmm.
And then get that recorded, and then they would need to apply for the planning application. So it'd be a cottage village, CZC, and probably a CCC for the fourplex.
Okay. Okay. Great. So then to the applicant team, timing, I mean, per Mr. Moser's input right there, you have quite a long runway here of reviews if you would develop it as proposed tonight. Is that your guys' understanding of that?
Correct.
Okay. So, okay, great. All right. Thanks. Thanks, David.
Okay, other questions? Once.
Sorry, real quick.
Better be.
Okay, I'll be fast. To the applicant team.
Mr. Schaefer.
You guys are proposing, so there's no issue on the detached sidewalk that's proposed on. It's just a Victory that you're asking for the variance.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Burnett makes a lot of sense. The Victory one just coupled with the road widening.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm done now, Mr. Chair.
Excellent. All right, any other questions? All right. Okay, well, with that, then we'll go ahead and open this up. Thank you for answering the questions. We'll go ahead and open this up to the public testimony portion. And I've got about 7 or 8 names here. And it looks like first up, I think it's Susan, is it Barkus? Okay, come on up and just if you would state your name and your address for the record and you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you. My name is Susan Barkus. I live at 9402 West Burnett Drive. I'm 3 doors down from this development. I've lived in Boise, Idaho for 43 years. The last 18 of them have been in Southwest Boise. I'm 3 houses away from the property on Burnett Drive. When I moved into this location, I was delighted with the space and the overall rural feel of this area. I oppose this project. It doesn't fit into the surrounding areas. It will cause congestion in our quaint neighborhood, and it will be ugly compared to the surrounding homes. The particular property is bordered by Victory, which is a parking lot early morning and late afternoon. Burnett Drive is narrow and steep. People now are driving up and trying to make U-turns in that small space. And that's kind of a precursor for the drivers in this new development. One of the refreshing benefits about this area is there are little or no cars parked along Burnett. Even the developers are planning car spaces for the cottages based on city code. I doubt there's enough planned parking for these additional units to park. Where will they park? A small section of Burnett? Parking along Burnett should never be allowed. It's too narrow. Even when adding the sidewalk down it will be narrow and steep. I oppose the 2017 Diamante subdivision for these same reasons. It was through the Burnett Acres group and those on Roan Meadows that we pushed for half-acre lots to ensure less density in our neighborhood. In 2020, Music subdivision was created, further extending higher density in the area. I was able to pull an old map of the area before these 2 subdivisions were built. It's amazing how the landscape has changed from very rural-like to higher density housing. So here you can just see it's a block of green. We were surrounded by pastures and horses, and I raised sheep for 15 years. But now it looks like this. And all these slots are lots. Now you're going to put 14 units in this tiny space. What I wish for is some breathing room in our area. Southwest Boise, or 83709, is unique. Around 2015, I attended a city council meeting, and there was a PowerPoint presentation that read, Southwest Boise, embracing our edge. That was when they were really trying to annex us, and then they decided they would not. I'd like you to stay away from our edge. Too many pieces of land along Maple Grove and 5 Mile Road are now being developed. They're portions of maybe 4 or 5 acres or more of some probably farmland that's carved into, and they're going to put in houses. But those areas are so much bigger than this tiny little square on the corner of Victory and Burnett. It's like the developers are using a shoehorn to fit in housing. It's hard to get in and out.
I'm gonna need to stop
Just
you, ma'am.
increasing density. I have
Sorry.
one more.
I can't allow you to go over the 3 minutes.
I've got 10 seconds.
No, it's over.
Okay, fine.
Sorry about
Thank
that.
you.
I just have to make sure everybody has their equal time. Thank you. Okay, I believe it's Claire, is it Spanzler? Butchered that? Sorry about that.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. Thank you for your service, volunteer service. Appreciate it very much. My name is Claire Sponseller. I live at 9630 West Roan Meadows Court, 2 houses away from this planned proposal. I grew up in Boise, have lived in 4 states and visited many, many more. My husband and I came back because we loved the lifestyle and wanted to raise our family in Idaho. A large attraction in Boise is our green space, the balance between urban and rural. We are losing that balance. There have been plenty of press releases in the last year that attest to the citizens with the same conclusion. I could go on about Victory Road capacity, the actual listing cost for the proposed cottages units, appropriate fencing setbacks, feasibility of the Burnett Road adaptations, etc. However, I think our sense of community and how we grow is just as important, if not more, than those critical planning topics. 2024, I was a co-chair of a national conference for my professional peers across the nation. We held it at the Boise Center with 1,200 attendees that came from all over. They loved our green space, location and natural resources, and the safe community. Boise's secret has been out for years, and a large part of why we moved here is our community. People want to feel safe and welcome just as much as they want financial security. 83709 is rural, unincorporated Ada County across much of the zip code. Inventory is low as 83709 as far as housing listed, and the houses are not listed for long because of that ruralness. It's land availability and space. There are few HOAs, and housing is distance from the downtown sites, but still within easy access. I know there's a growth and it must be addressed. What I'm asking for is balance. We need to create affordable housing, but we need to address the community needs. We are headed in the same path as many metropolitan areas in the West, and we can do better. Look at the Front Range of Colorado 10 to 15 years ago compared to now. It used to be a corridor that held town separation, but still showed its agricultural heritage. Now it is one huge path that is more urban than rural, losing that small town, local Western feel. This proposal and area in Southwest Boise still has that agricultural heritage. However, it is quickly disintegrating the way high-density housing is approved. Studies show when you put high-density housing next to rural spaces, it raises prices. I thought we were trying to minimize this effect and not compound it. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. Make the hard work count to find the balance between urban and rural. I ask that this be rezoned to 1A, R1A. That matches the neighboring plots around this direct lot. The eastern plots are zoned R1. An R1A rezone still allows for growth, but aligns more with the neighborhood and community. It would appease your strongest opponents and Boise citizens and taxpayers. I am willing to compromise to R1A, RU. I'd like to see us work together to create a city for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming out. Okay, Carol, I think it's McFadden, and then Sean Tips after that.
I have my own plot that I'd like to establish.
So unfortunately, we can't accept that. It has to be part of our official packet, and that there's a deadline for that is, I think, earlier to mid of last week. So I'm sorry to tell you that.
Folks out here, they have their own copy of it.
Ma'am, could you just wait till you get to the microphone so we can get us all on?
I will. Okay. My name is Carol McFadden. I live at 9500 Burnett Drive. And I've lived in Idaho all my life, multi-generational Idahoan. So to begin with, I would like to say that I oppose the designation of the zoning. I don't think R1B is appropriate for this. My plot map shows in detail everything between Mitchell Road and Maple Grove, which is an area of a half a mile at least, and everything south of Victory is either R1A or R1. Except for this little corner, which they want to develop, which was R1, which is right. This is our neighborhood. Our neighborhood doesn't exist across the street. Victory Road is currently 3 lanes. There are minimum of 30-foot setbacks and more on the north side. North side is landscaped with vegetation and trees and a winding sidewalk, but we can't see into those neighborhoods. Our neighborhood, as is evidenced when you drive in or walk in, is R1A and R1. That's our neighborhood. And they want to plop this development right in the middle of it. The density of the housing that they want to put in there is far denser than what's in R1C across the street. If you look at the bottom right-hand corner of R1C lots, there's 6 of them there, 6 dwellings in a space analogous to this 1.65 acre lot. They are wanting to put in 13 or 14 of the little cottages, or 10 right now on the plot. If the zoning changes and they're able to do another little collection of the little mini houses, we call them bird houses, they could put easily another 4 or 5 in there easily where that fourplex is. They have 13 spots for parking. I recently built a duplex in Old Town Meridian. One half of it was grandfathered in, so I only had to have 3 or so off-street parking spots. The new portion I built had to have 5 for a 2-bedroom duplex. Off-street parking, 5. They are allowing 1.2 or something parking spaces, but that does not include, we have a 3 or 4 bedroom home in existence without a garage right now. They knocked it down. A fourplex going up, plus there's just not enough parking. So they're going to be parking lining the road on what they're calling Burnett Drive. It's been changed to Quercus, but that doesn't matter. Okay. So that is
Thank you.
my,
I need
my
to pause
problem.
you.
Yeah,
Sorry. It's
that's
3
it.
Yep, 3 minutes, but
Thank
thank you
you.
very much.
You bet.
Appreciate it. Okay, next up is Sean Tips, followed by Jim Carson.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Sean Tips. I live at 9638 West Burnett Drive. This is all going to happen 10 feet from my house. I'd like to point out this. I know you guys can't all see it, but this is the surrounding neighborhood. There are 19 homes in that surrounding neighborhood. This is where they propose to put at least 14 and maybe 15 more residences, more dwellings. That does not fit in our neighborhood. This neighborhood, this isn't across the street from or adjacent to. This is in the neighborhood. We all have concerns about that kind of density, but I would ask everybody here, how would you feel if they were going to put the density of your whole neighborhood in your backyard? It's essentially what's happening here. We are totally against rezoning to R1B. We would ask you to leave it R1A, allow them to build sensibly and not double the capacity of the plan that we currently are living on. There are all kinds of other problems, not the least of which is that, let's just say that this has been less than transparent. I know that the city has documentation that say that the meeting with the neighborhood was generally good. It was not. Nobody wanted this. We had concerns at 7 homes. Now we're talking 14. We have concerns about parking. Quercus, which is still named Quercus, is not even completely paved. I mean, it's cut up and choppy. There's no curbing. There's no markings. There's no light. There's nothing there. People are going to try to come into there. And again, the parking situation, we know the parking situation is not going to be good. Where are they going to park? That road is slick in the winter and unsafe. Most of us won't use it, but that will be their only in and out of that place. We spent $500,000 to buy our home 8 years ago, based largely on the zoning that we bought it in. We knew we were going to be in R1A, and we knew the property behind us was also R1A. Now, somebody comes along and they want to change that. I would ask anybody, would you be happy with that? Not only are they going to want to rezone it, but they want to double the capacity of the neighborhood on that one little piece. None of us wants this. We understand that we need to build and we need to expand, but we would ask you guys to really consider whether R1B is the right way to do it. R1A would be fine. Let them develop what R1A allows. We're not against the dividing of the lot even. I'm out of time. Sorry.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming out. Okay, Jim Carson, followed by Tanner, is it Voorhees? I think it is. Oh, thank you. Okay, appreciate it.
Hello, my name is Jim Carson. I live at 9647 West Burnett Drive. I've lived there for all of about 10 days. So my introduction to Diamante subdivision was seeing the signs go up that they want to split this property. And unfortunately, that's all too familiar for me. As my wife and I lived in Nampa, in rural Nampa for the last 28 years, and have seen our property surrounded by subdivision after subdivision after subdivision, some max density, some large lot subdivision. And one of the things that we did notice, or that an effect that we had on us, was we lost approximately $150,000 value to our home based on the subdivisions that went around us. So it negatively affects the neighbors. I know the developers, when they look at these pieces of land that they want to carve up, they look at these lands and they think about max profits, but you need to think about what it does to those of us that are in that neighborhood. I feel sorry for Susan, who spoke first. She opposed the Diamante subdivision because it was what it was going to do to her land. And you guys hear emotion in people's voice because it's an emotional topic. I know for you guys, it's another, night of business, and I get it. And we're all about, affordable housing and whatnot in the city of Boise, but it affects people. And I would ask you to take that into account. Not just can they put in the sidewalk that ACHD requires, and will they do, interactive landscaping so you enjoy walking to and from your house, but how does it affect the neighbors? I'm opposed to it, obviously. Hopefully you can tell that. It's a nice rural area, that feel. I'm in a half-acre lot, in a half-acre lot subdivision, and everything to the east is nice little acreage properties, goats, sheep, and I get it. Who wouldn't want to live there? But nobody wants to see that property split and have, by my count, I had 15 homes. I know Commissioner Moore, you said R1B allows it to go to 4.48 homes per acre. And I read the sign up there and it says 1.65 acres. And so I did my math, that comes out to 7.92 units. And we're talking about 15 counting the existing home. And I know they talked about the, low income housing, clause that they can get more homes in there. And the one nice lady even spoke about, yes, they propose a fourplex on lot 1, but boy, after this thing gets passed and this other zoning gets approved, they're going to cram some more cottages on that lot. So that's kind of bait and switch, if you ask me. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate your service to the city of Boise, to the public at large. But really, I would ask you, when I don't know if you think about this right now and make your vote, or if you're going to, take it and talk about it later, but I would ask you to think about how it affects my neighbors right here. They've been there more than 10 days. But I would ask you to take that into effect when you make your decision. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Shane Anderson. All right, sounds good. Is there anybody in chambers that we're out of folks who've signed up? But if you want to testify, you're welcome to come on up if you haven't done so already, or if you're online and you wish to do so, now is the time to raise your hand. So anybody on chambers want to come up who hasn't? Looks like nobody. And online, I only have one. Must be for the next item, I think. Okay, last chance. All right, well, that concludes the public testimony portion of things. So we'll bring the applicant back up. You have an opportunity to rebut for 5 minutes, anything and everything you heard.
Mr. Chair. Commissioner Torres drank a lot of water this afternoon. Could he request a bathroom break real quick before we have the rebuttal?
I love how you just went third person on us. That was cool. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. You give yourself 5 minutes, no problem. You okay? I think we're ready to rock. Okay, if we can reconvene, we'll pick up where we left off. So we'll bring the applicant back up and you'll have 5 minutes for rebuttal.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, thank you. I just wanted to start off and thank the neighbors for their testimony. I do hear the emotion in the room. I do get it. A change can be tough. What I have up on the screen is Pat's Cottages. This is our other cottage development that is approved and about to break ground. I know one of the neighbors called these birdhouses, and I'm sure there's a lot of fear that it's going to be a sea of asphalt and poorly built houses or low income housing or something like that. But Haven, Idaho, we try to really develop thoughtful things. We try to be good neighbors. We take into account what's around us. And so at Burnett, there is 6-foot privacy fencing, vinyl fencing that's already in place on our perimeter. We're respecting all setbacks. We're going to landscape heavily like you see at Pat's Cottages here. Pat's Cottages has a nice park-like feel. I don't have the renderings with me tonight, but it's very nice. These houses are meant to serve a number of needs. People that are retired and want to downsize, people that want to live in a minimalist nature and don't want acreage to take care of. Low income housing, I don't want to even use that term, but people that just need affordable housing, right? We're in an affordability crisis. They're single moms with kids, things of that nature. People just need somewhere to live. They don't need a lot of space. They don't want a lot of space, but they want to be close to Boise. In regards to traffic, David Mosier spoke to that. We know that Victory is being widened in the future. This is a major corridor. We are willing to improve Burnett to improve that. One of the neighbors mentioned that they don't even really use this access point on Burnett. They go around the other way. So it kind of seems to me like we're not in the neighborhood, we're adjacent to the neighborhood, and we're trying to be respectful of what's around us. And we believe that this is truly helpful to the city's goals of housing. Regarding the townhome and cottage question on what's going to be on the other lots, those are decisions that are to come and are going to go through planning. We'll weigh those and evaluate that. But we want to have a mix of housing, cottages, townhomes, single family house. I think that meets that goal of the city there. And I know Robin wanted to speak to some other things.
I'm just going to say a couple of things. One, just the nature of density, the closer you get to the core, the denser things are going to get. And we're literally right on Victory, with bus stops and all the stores nearby there. I just want to make sure that it is very clear that we are on Victory. We're not in the middle of a rural area. And then also this product, and I know you guys probably don't care about this, but like on Pierce Park, my daughter who's 27 and a single mom is hopefully going to be able to buy one of them. And there's nothing else in the market that she could afford to have. We really are trying to be part of the solution to the problem. And I'm just going to choose to leave it at that.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. With that, we'll go ahead and close the item, and it is in front of the commission. And so just to level set again, we have 2 items that we are recommending body to city council for, and 1 we are a decision-making body. So we have an annexation and the preliminary and final plat, which will still go to council, and variance, which is in front of us, though subject to appeal, of course. So with that, why don't we make this simply, I think, why don't we just start with the annexation, if that's okay. You want to do both? Okay, we can do both. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's party. Let's see what happens here. So we'll go annexation and preliminary and final plat, and see if there's a motion, and then we'll discuss and go from there.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Schaefer.
I recommend approval of CVA 2576 and CR 25-28, all the terms and conditions in the staff report.
Okay, I've got a motion by Commissioner Schaefer to recommend approval for both CAR 25-28 and SUB 25-100. That what you said, right? Okay, sorry, I was taking notes. All right, is there a second?
Oh, sorry. I apologize. I think I had the variance in there, didn't I? My apologies. Let's step back. Recommend approval of CAR 25-28, which is the annexation, and recommend approval of SUB 25-100, which is the preliminary and final plat with all the terms and conditions as written in the staff report.
Okay, thank you for the clarification, Commissioner Schaefer. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Torres. Is there discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Schaefer.
First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight, the presentation by the applicant team, and then for all the testimony. As discussed in the testimony, change is always difficult, and we're tasked at this dais with understanding where we are today and where the city is going in the future. So when I look at this application, of course, we are annexing into the city of Boise. We're going from R1 in the county and as proposed to R1B. With this application, and I also want to be very clear here that before us tonight is the annexation and the rezone. We're not looking at cottage development. We're not looking at townhouse development. We're looking at an annexation into the city and then what zone is appropriate, for that annexation. There's a lot of discussion in testimony in the presentation about should be R1A, should it be R1B. Both those zones are adjacent to this property. When I look at both those zones, the difference is in lot square footages. Okay, setbacks are the same between R1A and R1B. The difference between R1A and R1B is the square footage. R1A at 2,000 square feet, R1B at 9,000 square feet. As proposed, the 3 lots that we're looking at here in this application are actually closer to R1A in size. Okay. Lot 3, which is the existing lot, is about just shy of 20,000 square feet. Lot 2 is over 30,000 square feet, and lot 1 is about 14,000 square feet. So when I look at that, I feel that the size of the lots, although it's listed as R1B, they're larger than the R1B minimums, and therefore I feel like they're appropriate to blend these proposed lots with the surrounding developments in the neighborhood.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
one small point of clarification, Commissioner Schaefer. I think you dropped a 0 on, and you said 2,000 when you meant 20,000.
Sorry, 20,000. You're right. Thank you. Good catch. Thank you, Crystal. So taking all that into consideration, I feel like as proposed, the lot sizes are appropriate for this condition. And we are in a densifying part of the city. This part of town is difficult because there is so much ground that is Ada County, so much ground that is the city of Boise. So I want to be very clear that I think the applicant team's done a nice job finding a point here where these 3 lots are an appropriate size. Now, we'll probably get into some more difficult discussions in the future about what's proposed on those 3 lots, but what's before us tonight are 3 lots that are asking to be brought into the city. So that's where I stand with this application right now.
Okay, thank you for Commissioner Schaefer. Further discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Stallings.
I will second everything Commissioner Schaefer said, but just also add, we have feedback from our public agencies, our fire and police, Boise Sewer, the water, Theola Water, that feel this is unacceptable and can be absorbed without increased cost and expense on a non-bordering property. And this overall, I believe it supports the city's goals towards a pattern of scalable, considerable, sustainable density in growth in this way. I thought it was a well thought out plan. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Stallings. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, I seconded the motion, but Commissioner Schaefer and Stallings pretty much covered everything I was going to say, so I will not add anything.
Okay. Commissioner Moore?
Mr. Chair, I'm in support of the motion. I think I agree. I think that R1B is an appropriate zone for this space. Victory Road is a minor arterial. The minor arterial, that's a fair amount of traffic for large lots. That's kind of not what you anticipate with that much traffic, that much volume going by. That's kind of where you want to center density. So R1B, especially with R1C adjacent, R1B kind of kitty corner to that, feels appropriate to me in this particular location. And I think I'm in support of the motion and in support of the project for that reason.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Moore. Any other additional points we haven't mentioned? Anything? Okay. I think it's just important. I'll just reiterate what Commissioner Schaefer said about what's actually in front of us. That's the tricky part that we're having to deal with too. And that is what we have is a subdivision application, but we don't have is the actual housing units that the applicant has brought forward. That doesn't mean that it's not coming, what have you, but that's not what we get to lean on legally. I can't have you do that, because you have to understand we have to have a legal decision. That legal decision has to be defendable in court. That means it's based on our code. What is in front of us is a subdivision application that is based on our code. What is not in front of us is a lot of what we heard in terms of the cottage homes and all of the things that might come forward. Not denying that, but again, legally defensible. And that's the challenge that this body has to face. Otherwise, we get the city and the residents in trouble. So with that, I'm going to be in support of the motion. Let's go ahead and have the clerk please call the roll.
Danley,
Aye.
Moore,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Seha,
Yes.
Torres,
Yes.
Stone,
Yes.
Stallings,
Yes.
Stefancic,
Yes.
all in favor, motion carries.
Okay, that leaves us with the variance.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Schaefer.
I am going to move to deny the variance request CBA 25-76.
Okay, I've got a motion by Commissioner Schaefer to deny the variance request. Is there a second?
Second.
I think that's by Commissioner Seha, yeah? All right, discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Okay, I'll be try and be quick here. It's like a reluctant denial. Okay, so what's at play? A month ago we reviewed the code change that council is going to discuss tomorrow, which alters how we handle right-of-way improvements on ACHD's 5-year work plan. And that was to my point of my earlier questioning to you all about schedule, process, that sort of thing. Y'all have a year or two of additional planning approvals, drawings, that sort of thing. So my thought process here is that would give you time to coordinate with ACHD on their widening of Victory. You have additional approvals to come through the city, and then we can pick this discussion up again in the future, right? Ideally, we can find a place where the sidewalk is built in its final configuration as you develop your property. Whether you do that or ACHD does that, I don't know just now. But there are so many things in play that it felt like the cleanest course of action was to approve this, to deny the variance, proceed as code dictates now, that we have before, that we're operating under right now, and let things play out. So again, agreeable to the thought process that you guys presented, just trying to find the best path to make it happen. So that's why I'm denying the variance.
Okay, any other discussion? Commissioner Seha?
Mr. Chair, I see Commissioner Schaefer's point. I guess maybe I was looking at from strictly what's in front of us, right? What does the code say today? And there really is no, like the location is not configured strangely that would require you, or wouldn't require, but would need you to work with what you have, right? And for consistency purposes too, applying what we have to be looking at for variances. I mean, we have to be consistent across the board. So that is why I support the denial of the variance.
Thank you, Commissioner Seha. Any other discussion? I'm going to add something real quick here because I think it's relevant, and that is a couple of things. One, why are we not doing meandering? We're not doing meandering because this is not just a 10-foot sidewalk. It's really a multi-use pathway. And when we introduce bicycles into a meandering situation, it becomes challenging for pedestrians. So we're trying to get away from that. Secondly, not long ago, a few years ago, ACHD had a project. I think it was a Locust Grove project that ended up going, if I'm not mistaken, something close to $100 million project. And that project was bid originally estimated to be like some fraction of that. That put a huge shift in their capital improvement plan and their 5-year work plan, which meant everything that was slated to go sooner ended up getting pushed back. So that uncertainty, that was because the cost of construction and the estimates that we were thinking were going to happen ended up not coming to fruition. That's part of the challenge here, right? Because we don't have that sort of luxury to think and hope and anticipate everything's going to go to schedule. Now, if we only had a fee in lieu of program, then we'd have a mechanism by which we could collect the equivalent, hold those dollars, improve the street system or the sidewalk system around the neighborhood, and ACHD then naturally, as their progression unfolds, build what is going to be built. But we don't have one. Bummer. Okay. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Danley,
Aye.
Moore,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Teja,
Yes.
Torres,
Yes.
Stone,
Yes.
Stallings,
Yes.
Stefanczyk,
Yes.
all in favor, motion carries.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you all for coming out. Appreciate it. That's going to move us forward to item number 3. And that is SUB 25-85. This is Cloverland Crossing subdivision. This is a preliminary plat for a commercial subdivision. And lo and behold, Mr. Moser.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. This application may look familiar to you. It was heard back by this commission on January 12th, 2026. At the hearing, the applicant discussed the detached sidewalk requirement and the pathway location along the canal. It's now back before you. In summary, the applicant requests an approval of a preliminary plat for a commercial subdivision comprised of 4 buildable lots on 6.15 acres located at 12535 West Overland Road and MX2 FPO DA zone. And it's a mixed-use general with a floodplain protection overlay and a development agreement. The subject property is located at the southwest corner of the intersection of Cloverdale and Overland Road. Reidenbach Canal extends along the east side of the property, and the northeast portion of the site is located within the floodplain of 5 Mile Creek. The existing neighborhood is a mixture of multifamily residential uses and commercial uses along Overland Road and a single-family residential use to the north and south. The city of Meridian abuts the property to the west. This slide shows the site plan and the preliminary plat, which is a 4-lot commercial subdivision comprised of commercial developments along Overland Road and residential uses at the south parcel. As proposed, all lots will meet the dimensional standards of the MX2 zone, and there is a recorded cross-access agreement over the adjacent parcel to the west, which provides access to Lot 1. The proposed preliminary plat is consistent with the conceptual plan of the DA. The applicant is required to install a 10-foot wide detached sidewalk and 10-foot landscape buffer along both street frontages, and also a 10-foot wide pathway will be installed along Reidenbach Canal, abutting the subject property. However, the planning team agrees with the applicant that the pathway should end at the north side of the Lot 1 and connect back over to Moldova Way across a recorded cross-access agreement, since the development to the south, which was developed in the city of Meridian, does not provide any additional pathway connection. The planning team did receive a letter of opposition from the public expressing concerns with traffic and building height of the potential future residential development on Lot 1. ACHD stated that they will grant temporary full access to Overland Road from the site, but will restrict it in the future. And as for the neighbors' concerns regarding the building height on Lot 1, this is not part of the subdivision application that's in front of you and will be reviewed as a separate planning application in the future. The planning team recommends approval of the subdivision to City Council. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moser. Is the applicant present? Welcome back.
Very quick testimony. Just for the record, Derek Kerner, David Evans and Associates, 9175 West Black Eagle Drive, Boise. Mr. Chair, Commissioners, we're in agreement with the staff report conditions and stand for questions.
That might have been a record. Okay. All right, hold tight. Just make sure, is there anybody from the neighborhood association? This is the Southwest Ada County Alliance Neighborhood Association. Again, Marissa Keith, not here and present, not online. Don't think you're with the neighborhood association? Okay. All right, with that, we'll stand for any questions from the commission. So come on back up. I suspect, maybe not. We'll see. Yeah, oh yeah, 100%. Just not quite yet. We're getting there.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Moore.
So this, I think our public comment was on, a lot of that was on this kind of lot one area. That will have to go through its own separate approval process through the city, at least through probably DR or something like that, I would assume.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, actually, the development agreement requires a conditional use for any other development on the site. So
Okay.
it will require probably a DR and a conditional use approval.
Okay, perfect. So it'll come back through planning and zoning first
Yep.
as well. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
None shall pass. Any other questions? Making sure. How's the landscape architecture? All right, just making sure. All right, well, with that, I guess we have no more questions. And so now we'll go ahead and open it up to public testimony. I don't have anybody signed up, but it sounds like you all want to come up. So please do come on up and just state your name and address for the record, and you will have 3 minutes.
Good
Hi.
evening. My name is Kim Boyack, and I reside at 4270 East Overland Road, Meridian, Idaho. And we're to the west of this development. And I had some questions about the ingress and egress for this development, of whether it was all going to pour into Movado Way. And to express that right now, Movado Way is a kind of it doesn't go straight through. It stops right there at Overland. And we live in the house just right across the street from that intersection. And it's a very busy intersection. Sometimes we can't even get out of our driveway. And I just keep looking at all of the traffic that they keep adding across the street from us. And I know that this is Boise City that we're talking about, but we're in the Meridian Impact Zone, Ada County. They keep talking about putting a stoplight in there, which from what I understand, wouldn't be until 2035 or 2040. When cars come out of there, they're honking at each other all the time. We have had accidents in front of our house of people pulling into when they're making out of Movado Way, making a left-hand turn. And our main concerns are with the traffic. Any traffic that's being added to Movado Way is already really overwhelmingly busy there. And just want to express that those are our concerns as residents in the area. And I know there's going to be a lot of change coming, but I don't think that, I wonder sometimes if Boise City and Meridian aren't talking to each other. So I don't know how that's being worked out together. So I thank you all for your time, and I can't believe that you guys volunteered to do this. And I want to thank you for doing that. We need people that care about our community.
Sometimes neither do we. Thank you very much for coming out. Appreciate it. You want to come up, or? She's got it all. Okay, very good. All right. And there's nobody else in chambers who has not testified, and I don't have anybody else online. So with that, we'll go ahead and have rebuttal to your very brief testimony, but I'm sure you've got some things to add.
Yes, thank you, Kim, for the questions. There is a cross-access easement to Movado in Meridian, and that was secured in about 2018 when that subdivision in Meridian went through. They were asked to, and they did provide access to our Boise commercial development, mixed-use development at that time. So we have our main access on Overland. We always view the access on Overland being our main in that outlet. And we all know that in the future, ACHD could restrict that probably by a median, right, where you have to take it right in, right out. Right now, it's full access. And so we plan on using that fully and all the time, but there is an access out onto Movado Way, and we do plan on making that connection.
Okay. Your call. You good?
Yep, we're good.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. With that, the item is before the commission. So this is a preliminary plat. So we're a recommending body. But the item is before the commission. Can't go home until we have a motion.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Seha.
I recommend, sorry, I'll make sure that I say this right. I recommend, sorry, I'm looking at my, Mr. Chair, I move that we recommend approval to City Council on item SGB 25-85, based on the terms and conditions in the planning staff report.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Commissioner Seha. Is there a second?
Second.
I've got a motion by Commissioner Seha and a second by Commissioner Torres. Is there a discussion?
Mr. Chair, I don't have, I mean, we discussed this one in January. It came before us with the revision to the end of the pathway and then that cross easement onto that street. So I have nothing to add.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Commissioner Seha. Any other discussion? Huh? I'm sorry to add, I'm trying not to, I'm trying to hold myself back, but I think I need to address your question, your concern, and I'll do it this way. One of the things is that this is number one, this is a really weird shaped parcel, as you'd imagine, but it's also zoned in a way that it could actually have much more significant development than it's being proposed. And I'll tell you from what's the forgive me for the word, but the sort of the Bible of the traffic engineering world, it's called the Trip Generation Manual. It's awesome. It's really good putting yourself to sleep. That will tell you that storage sheds are one of the least of traffic generating uses that's out there. So I understand the concern and I appreciate the concern, but I just want you to know that what's being applied for anyway, in terms of a traffic generation, is actually about the most sort of docile as you can about get. Plus with the direct access to Overland, a lot of that is mitigated. So just, I will be in support of the motion, but I think it's important just to, since you're the only one, to address your concern as much as possible. And then I think as Commissioner Moore stated, anything with regard to lot 1 still has to come back at a future date whenever they determine, and subject of additional discussion and conditions of approval and so forth. Okay. All right. We have a motion by Commissioner Seha and a second by Commissioner Torres to recommend approval to City Council for the preliminary plat SUB 25-85. Any last discussion? Okay, hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Danley,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Schaefer,
Aye.
Seha,
Aye.
Torres,
Aye.
Stone,
Aye.
Stallings. Aye. Stefancic,
Aye.
all in favor, motion carries.
Okay, and that concludes tonight's proceedings. Thank you very much.